everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Dylan from Teaching Type for Kids channel, and this video I'm going to be talking about what functions are and how to identify a function by looking at its equation or graph or coordinate point. So first, let's ask the question, what are functions? Okay, so a function is basically a relationship where each input has exactly one and only one output value. So you can represent a function in 4 different ways. So you could do it algebraically, verbally, and then the third one is numerically, and then the last one is graphically. So let me explain a bit. So algebraically means by using using numbers to express what the function is, and verbally means to explain what the function is only in words, and then numerically means like you draw a table that shows all the values of the function, and then graphically means that you have to draw like a graph that represents what the function is. So it's like graphically is like a visual way of like looking at the function. Okay, so let me have an example here for you guys. Let's say y equals 2x. So this would be a function because it has an input, which is the x value represents the input values, and then over here the output values represent all the all the different y values. And this would be an algebraic way of expressing the function. So, and then to do it verbally, we would have to use words to describe this function y equals 2x. So to do this, we can see that the y values are basically 2 times the x values, right? So to express this in words, we would say y is the product of 2 and x. Or you could also say y is equal to 2 times x. Either way is fine. Like there's multiple ways of expressing the function verbally, but I'm going to go with, in this case, I'm going to go with y as the product of 2 and x. And to do it numerically, we would have to make a table of this function y equals 2x, right? So the input values are all the x values, so I'm going to make a column called x, and then the output values are all the y values, so I'm going to make this column to y. Let's say that our input is equal to -2. So what would our output value be? Well, our output would have to be -4, right? Because we define our function over here, y, which is equal to 2 times x. In this case, x is equal to -2. So our output would be 2 times -2, which is equal to -4. And let's do that for some more points. So when x is equal to -1, what would our output value be? Well, it would be -2 because -1 times 2 is -2. And let me repeat this for the other ones. So this would be 0 and 0, and then this would be 1 and 2. Okay? So does that make any sense? Let me put this right here. And then now let's move on to a graphical way of expressing this. Let's draw a graph because we need to draw a graph to represent this graphically. So I'm going to add the y-axis first, and then I'm going to add the x-axis over here. Okay, and then I'm gonna call this x because this this horizontal line represents all the x values, and I'm gonna call this vertical line y because it represents all the y values. So now we can use our table that we created above to help us make the graph. So let me we need to create a graph, we need to have points on the graph, and then we need to draw a line that connects them, right? So let's start off with this first point. So the x value is -2 and the y value is -4. And in this coordinate system, when you go to the right on the horizontal axis, that would mean that the input values are becoming more positive. But if you go to the left on the horizontal axis, then the input values are becoming more negative. And similarly, if you go up on the vertical axis, then the output values are going to be more positive. And then when you go downwards on the vertical axis, the output values are going to be more negative, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to plot these points. So -2, -4, so -1, and then -2. But then we have to go down 4 because the y value is -4, right? So it would be, we go down 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then we just put a point right there. And we repeat that for all the other points. So this one's -1, -2, so we go to the left by 1, and then we go down by 2. So 1, 2, and put a point there. And the next one is 0, 0, which is right here in the middle. It's also called the origin. And then we have another point, 1 and 2. So we go to right 1, and then we go up by 2. So 1, 2, so right here. And then we could put like as many points as we want. Like if you want on your own time, you could just put a bunch of points, and you can see that it's gonna make a straight line, or it's also known as a linear function, if you will. And then so let me just create a line that connects all these points together to finish this graph. All right, so I'm gonna move on to identifying functions now. So if you had any questions on definition of functions and expressing this in a function in 4 different ways. If you have any questions on that, then please ask the question in the comments below, and I'll answer them as soon as possible. So let's move on to the next one, which is identifying functions.